So it has been a lovely day today, so I thought I would do something a little bit different than what I normally do. Ta-da! I'm gonna make cupcakes. Rose-flavoured cupcakes, to be precise. So, to begin, you need all your cupcakey stuff, you know, eggs, butter, sugar, caster sugar, and self-raising flour. I'm gonna make 12 cupcakes. I'm gonna make proper cupcakes rather than fairy cakes. See, we normally, here in England, cupcakes are little fairy cake cases, which would be a 4-ounce recipe. However, I'm going to make a 6-ounce recipe because I want 12 muffin-sized cupcakes. Now, I hear it gets really confusing with the name and stuff in different countries, so cupcakes. I'm going to make rose-flavoured cupcakes with the 6-ounce recipe. Okie dokie. Get your measuring thingy and your bowl and your butter. Sure, get your butter. Help if it was on the measuring thingy. And that is 2. 6 1/4 will do. So erase the weight and add the sugar. 6 ounces as well. Quarter. Now, because I mentioned I'm making rose flavoured cupcakes, that's actually the icing. You see, the actual cake itself is going to be vanilla. So just a normal cupcake, because with cupcakes quite often the fancy bit is, oh, I should have creamed it. Never mind. The fancy bit is the icing. And there you'll have your creamed sugar and butter mix, which I got all over my fingers. Never mind. Put that aside for a minute. And get out your little measuring thingy again. Scales! That's the word I've been missing this whole time. Scales! We're going to be weighing out the self-raising flour separately because we're going to sieve it in and add the egg at the same time so that it doesn't go weird or anything. So just add that to the bowl till you have 6 ounces again. And then switch it off and get a jug or cup or something. Some kind of container. Because now you're going to beat your eggs. For a 6-ounce recipe, you need 3. I always found it fascinating. When I was a kid, my granny always told me that if you don't have your weight, you don't have scales. See, we used to use old style scales, you know, where you put like an actual metal weight down and it would balance. She always said if you can't find your weight, the actual weight that you need, you can always just put your eggs where the weight should be, because all of the other ingredients weigh exactly the same as the egg. They should be the same weight as the eggs. And I always wondered if that actually made it like a better cake, because rather than it being like a generalized 4 or 6 or 8 whatever ounce cake, you're actually making it match the egg perfectly. I don't know though, I never actually really tried it. Anybody tried that? I'm curious. I've got egg on me, I'm gonna wash my hands. Beating the egg. So just take your fork or whisk or whatever and beat the egg. Not that way. Oh, no. This way. Bring back your bowl and do the adding of these in bits, little bits. I do it in a couple of little bits rather than like actual little increments, which my granny, who I mentioned before, would tell me off for. That's not how you're supposed to do it. Okay, sieve some of your flour in. Sieve in that flour and pour in about half of your egg. Or if you're doing it properly, a little bit less than I did of each of those. And then fold. Really, you're supposed to fold the whole time, but I personally just fold until it stops looking like it'd splash out of the sides, and then I just do it like I normally do, which I don't think you're supposed to do, but it works. I have never had a problem with it. And then when it's like that, add the rest. And all of the egg. Fold it again. To flavour the cake, use a little bit of vanilla essence. Just about a teaspoon. Don't need more than a teaspoon. Now I am a big believer in trying before you actually bake it, because if it didn't taste good, you'd have ruined all your cake. So okay, that's good. Then you get your muffin cases or cupcake cases or whatever, and just put them all in. And 12. When you've done that, if you haven't already, put your oven on. Bring over your bowl of a mixture. If you're like me, put the spoon on the side so that you can eat the rest of the batter off it. I didn't say that, but it's yummy. And then using a dessert spoon and a teaspoon, scoop up a big lump of it and spoon into the tray. Last one. Okay, now there's a bit of mixture left, so just make sure that all the ones you've got are even. When you've done that, put the bowl and the spoons aside for the previously mentioned reason. Try and level it out a bit, so you don't get weird bumps and things when they rise. When it's at the right temperature, put them in. Open it up. And just check that they're done by like poking a fork in, and if it comes out clean, then they're done. Or you can just sort of press lightly on top, and if it bounces back, then they are done. Leave them out to cool while you make the icing. We're going to make buttercream icing and flavour it rose flavour. You need icing sugar. You need proper butter, not like the sort of butter that I used for the cakes. Proper butter, rose water, some kind of decoration-y thingy, and some colouring. Pink. I chose pink. I suppose you could do a different one though. You will need 2 bowls, a knife, spoon, and your scales. First, measure out the butter. Now I have a pretty much foolproof recipe for buttercream icing. If you do it like this, it can't really go wrong. Basically, for whatever amount of butter you use twice the weight of icing sugar. If you want 3 ounces of butter, you use 6 ounces of sugar. In this case, I'm going to use 4 ounces of butter and 8 ounces of sugar. If it is a little thick, because I tend to add flavouring, and if you choose not to, just add a little bit of milk or fruit juice or something, and it will be fine. Cut off a lump of your butter. Ideally, leave this to soften, or in my case, too much, for a while before you actually make your icing. 4. Make sure it's soft and creamy. When you are done with your butter, take another bowl and open up your icing sugar. Because now you're going to measure out your icing sugar. Oh, I've started watching Bunny. I started watching Graveyard Girl, because that accent just then will have sounded completely ridiculous on me. So then we're going to add our icing sugar. I don't know. And remember, you need 8 ounces if you're doing 4 ounces of butter. The reason we're doing it in a separate bowl is so that when you add the icing sugar, you can sieve it, basically. Get your sieve. You need a sieve. And begin with the icing sugar. I'm going to do about half. No, that's not about half. That's about half. And then just sieve it in. Get powder everywhere. And put that to the side. And then start to mix the bit you've added in with your very melty butter. That is about mixed. Close enough for now. And then add the rest. I got it everywhere. Oopsie. Okie dokie. Then when it is like this, and not all over the floor, then you can start adding the fun bits. For this you need a teaspoon. Just a little teaspoon. You're going to add a teaspoon of essence of rose water. Water. That smells rosy. I'm gonna taste it. Taste. I want more rose. I'm gonna do another teaspoon of rose. Teaspoon. See, this is what I mean. When you start adding liquids, it becomes a bit more. Does that? No. Okay. It becomes a bit more liquidy. And start add the colouring. I haven't tried this colouring before. I have a funny feeling it might be more concentrated than the one I normally use. So we'll see. 1 drop. 3 drops. Let's see. Oh, it's so pretty and pink. It looks like a fairy. Not literally, like fairy colour. I want a bit more. 1, 2, 3, 4. The amount of colouring that you add is entirely up to you. If you want very pink, add more. If you're like me and want lighter pink, but not too light, add this much. I think I've got about 10 drops in there now. Oh, that is such a pretty colour. I like it. Do you like it? I have to apply the icing with teaspoons because I don't have a piping bag. So, that means that I can apply the amount of icing I want to each one and then go back in the same way that you do when you're putting out the batter for the cake. So at the moment I will just do a teaspoon, like that, per cake. Okay, and then go back and on the smaller ones add a bit more and just make sure they're about even. Like so. Like so. And when you have them all like that, you only need 1 teaspoon. And pick a cupcake up and then swirl like this. Swirly swirl. Make it look pretty. And then do a little point at the top. And then your last one. Okay, you could leave them like that if you want to. I want to add some glitter. Sparkly. If you want to add any decorations, I find it better to do it now, like sprinkly decorations, because the buttercream, although it never actually sets, it sort of sets just sort of on the surface, and if you start to add something like hundreds and thousands after a little while, it's just gonna bounce off. So, the sparkles straight after doing the thingy. Sparkle, sparkle. If you're like me and you like lots of sparkles, add lots of sparkles. Okay, I'll stop there. Ah. And there you have it, rose-flavoured cupcakes. If you want to see more videos like this, where I show you how to bake things, or I don't know, I do some other kind of tutorial or something, or like vlogs, or I don't know, if you are interested in the variety, then please let me know, because I think I'd really like to start branching out a bit and doing other things too. So if you do want that, it would be very good to know. Okay, I'm gonna go eat this now. Hope you like.